Welcome back to the final Rebels Edge of the week. Everybody said, oh, it's all about Nvidia. And if they break out, the market's going to break out. And if they break down, the market's going to break down. Well, guess what? It's a big nothing burger. And we've got the nothing to share with you on today's Rebels Edge. Bang.
There it is,
Bang.
The start and the end of the week. It's a Thursday. That's the end of this week for the Rebels Edge, that's for sure. But good stuff, John. Been a fun week. Looking forward to all these various little elements and catalysts that have been hitting all week long. It's been a pretty good ride, I'd say.
Yep, and it was almost a pretty fun. Well, I had a good evening anyway, Pete. But I got a call from some guys that said, "Hey, Patrick Bet-David, PBD, is doing a big event at his private jet terminal in in Fort Lauderdale at FXE. That's the executive side of, the private jet side of Fort Lauderdale Airport, Pete. But I had no way of getting there in time because you're freaking hogging the jet up in Minnesota. So I told him, I said, man, you give me 24 hours next time, I'll be there, Patrick. But one of these days, I'm coming to see him, and Pete, you and I are going to go on his show, so that'll be fun because PBD is a force, and I'm sure they had a great time at that banger in the hangar yesterday with our friends Ollie and a bunch of them. But anyway, let's dive right in, Pete, to the Rebels Edge, and we'll kick it off with macro. I'll say the GDP was revised upward to an annual growth rate of 3.3% from an estimate of 3%. That's a positive revision. That's great. Europe sentiment indicators signaling weakness as the Euro area economic sentiment indicator dropped unexpectedly, they say, Pete, to 95.2. And industrial confidence also fell in Europe. What do you got for macro?
Well, you talked about it earlier, but I mean, the Nvidia news was something everybody was waiting for, right? What kind of a catalyst do we have here? Last night, it was down a couple of percent. This morning, all of a sudden, we had a nice run, and the stock got, significantly higher. It got up almost to 185 today, 184.50 or something like that. So a big run, but then that gave way as well, John. So that sold it off. I think we were all kind of waiting for that. We still have some earnings in front of us that are pretty impressive as of today, at least. We had RBC, we got CrowdStrike, we got Snowflake, and we've got obviously the biggie from last night, Nvidia. And it's not hurting the market, I don't think. It seems like the market's digesting what's going on with Nvidia. But I kept looking at those numbers, and I know we're going to talk about it later on, John. But they put up some pretty absolutely incredible numbers, I think, this past quarter.
Yeah, but when you're trading at 40 times earnings, Pete, you might need to come up with even better than that. But as far as the nothing burger, folks, I've got S&P futures. Well, I'll hit fantastic futures right now, Pete. You know what they're doing? Flat. It's virtually unchanged, which means that there's going to be pressure on the VIX again today, folks. Downward pressure, most probably. Even though the VIX made a little bit of a pop early on, it's right back to 1426 or thereabouts, down about 4% on the day, Pete.
Well, and we've been talking about the range and the tightening of the range and the lowering of the range, and that's exactly where we find ourselves, as you were just pointing out, John. I mean, 1412 was the low of the day. 1470 has been the high of the day. The 52-week low is 1270. We're not that far off of 52-week lows for the VIX, but will we get there? Yeah, you never know. I mean, we've gotten through earnings season. I think earnings season actually is something that gave people a heck of a lot of confidence when there was not a lot of confidence for a while. We've briefly been over 20 not too long ago, but it didn't last very long either. So I think it's pretty interesting to see where we see the VIX, where it's trading right now. Could it go a little bit lower? Sure. But I think we're probably in kind of that sweet spot, John, of somewhere close to 14, just a little bit less than about a 1% move per day from the S&P 500.
Well, let's ring it up, Pete, with the one and only Geoff Garbacz.
Yeah.
Geoff is one of the most popular analysts and editors that we've got at Market Rebellion. He does an awful lot of great work with his short reports and so forth. And apparently he gets some great insights, Pete, every 2 weeks that he's going to share for the first time on our show today. So take it away, Geoff.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. I'm looking forward to kind of talking a little bit about the latest short interest. We get short interest every 2 weeks. We used to only get it every once a month, so it's really great being able to look at it. And this data goes through the middle of August. And so New York is up by 3.02%, and NASDAQ went up by 2.03. What's really interesting, though, is if we look here, here's a table of all the shares short this year so far. And this blue on NASDAQ means that we've hit an all-time high. We're at 16.930 million shares, 16,930 million shares. And that we started the year at 14.468.
Wow.
New York Stock Exchange is now at 17.715 billion. And we started the year at 15.4 billion. And look at this chart. This is an amazing chart. This is the NASDAQ absolute number of shares that are short. And here's where we are now. I mean, this is like, we'd like to ski down this. We'd have a nice run, you know? I mean, it's crazy. And then here's New York. Now, New York is kind of interesting. We're at a multi-decade high, but we've hit some higher levels back in like the 07 to 09 period. But you can see like recently, since 17 forward, since we came out of the financial crisis, we are at a multi-decade new high. But here's a really interesting thing. So I have a table, I call it the covers table, and I can see the peak where the low for both New York and NASDAQ started back in 2021. We've been climbing ever since. And if you look at where the shares were at that point in time and where we're at now, New York has only seen 3.73% of the shares covered. And NASDAQ, because we're at an all-time high, we're at 0%. So there's still an incredible amount of covering that's got to be done. And what's interesting to see here recently is, so this shows you how many short squeezes there are out there and how many names that are heavily shorted. So that's the ones are the short squeezes, the threes are heavily shorted. So we're only at like 11% either in a short squeeze or the shorts are correct. And then we have a fair number of things also that aren't shorted at all. What's really interesting is we hit a period where we were climbing and our type fours, which are weak technically known as short, were adding as well. Well, that's dropped off now because of this latest up in short interest. And now we're heading into September with really at a pretty high level. And you can see here's our table where we track the changes. We had 19 of the 24 sectors had an increase in their short interest over the last period of time. And we had a lot more yellow showing up, which was low levels of short selling. So we're gradually moving to higher levels, even on a sector basis. So that's what's going on with the data. The one thing I'll add on the biggest jumps, we're seeing shorts on like NASDAQ as an example, going after like CoreWeave, Apple, Nvidia. I mean, they're going for stuff that's been working, and they're just trying to make money on the shorts on those. So this is going to be an interesting next month or so to see how this thing plays itself out.
Geoff, fabulous stuff, my friend. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, Pete, it's unbelievable because when you match up what Geoff does with the short squeezes and things like that, which is something Pete talks about all the time, you know, when you've got a short squeeze, that stock can move a lot more than if it just has good news, because you've got all the people that have to cover as well because they're losing money so fast. You imagine if there's 2 billion shares more short on both the NASDAQ and the New York, Pete, just since the beginning of the year. It's an awful lot of shares, folks. So far, most of those folks, April was probably great for them. It hasn't been good since April, has it?
Yeah. Pain is what they're feeling. Pain.
Pain, like Mr. T says.
Like Mr. T. That's exactly right.
Well, folks, if you want to join us for a free live webinar tonight, right at the market close, 4 p.m. Eastern time, by all means, we've got Ryan Mastro, we've got Mark Lepresti, myself, Wayne Razzie. I mean, we have some of the best that are going to be talking about our smart money trades, how we see them, what we do to follow that smart money. I'm going to have 3 different examples of what I do when we're following the smart money, folks. And if you want to know what professional traders do when they see either longs that are about to explode or shorts that are about to get lit, whatever it might be, join us tonight. To secure your spot, all you've got to do is grab that QR code right over there. Grab that QR code with your phone and you will get a free recording of the entire presentation. So even if it's not convenient for you to join us live right at 4 o'clock Eastern time, well, you can watch it whenever you want. And I guarantee you'll come back and say, I never knew that. This is a great thing. And it's completely free. This is a live webinar. It's free. There's no credit card, no nothing. Just you have to sign up in order to attend. Then you can join us and even ask questions. So with that said, Pete, let's dive into some stocks. Snowflake up huge. Shares jumping after the Bozeman-based data cloud company delivered Q2 results and upbeat guidance. And upbeat, yeah, it really was, Pete. And yes, we had unusual option activity. Don't you wish, folks, that when you see a chart like that, that you had some calls? We had the 200 calls. We had the 210 calls. You look at that chart and you see it jumping all the way up there. Look at that. They were buying the October 200s. They were $10 in the money. Well, yesterday, the stock was 200. Today, it was almost 230. So you guys tell me, if you want trades like that, go to marketrebellion.com/get started and start trading smarter. Right, Pete?
Absolutely. And, you're right, John. I mean, you look at the numbers that they managed to put up for Q2, as well as what they're seeing for the guidance itself, which is another raise. They went all the way up to 4.4 billion. They talked about how many accounts they're actually getting every single month and week and all the rest of it, John, for these AI weeks that they've got. I'll tell you what, absolutely amazing. And you said 230. I think I saw it get all the way up to 240 today, which would make it another. It's not an all-time high, but it's pretty damn close. It's a multi-year high. So impressive, yes. Up 18%, of course. But the best part about it is somebody out there had a feeling about this one, and you see that unusual option activity that comes in like that. Absolutely extraordinary. This was a big hit. Nvidia, like you said, kind of a nothing burger. On Snowflake, that's a heck of a nice burger that they served up. That sucker was nice.
Yeah, that's a smash burger for sure. Well, what about Pure Storage, Pete? PSTG, Pure Storage. So this is flash drive. Anybody that knows about flash means it's like instant. I mean, I know the name implies instant flash, but a flash drive is something that is much faster than the traditional hard drives and so forth. And Pure Storage is up big time because they crushed estimates across the board. Just like Pete loves to see, I love to see. I mean, this was just a blowout quarter for them.
They got an unbelievable balance sheet, John. So that checked that little box. The stock's up 30% today, which is not so bad. It's hit a new all-time high just underneath 79, 78.95 to be exact. The Q2 numbers, they absolutely crushed it. You can't say anything negative about that at all. And then all of a sudden you start to look and you say, well, what does it look like for Q3? Well, revenue was raised even higher. They were looking about 913 million, John. Now they're saying, well, we're looking more towards 950 to 960 million for the revenue. They also talked about other things, but they have absolutely beaten down like I have not seen in a while. Although you've probably heard me say that a lot this earnings season, because it's true. There are some huge beats. It's why we seem to hit new record highs, whether it's the NASDAQ or the Dow or the S&P, on a pretty consistent basis. And especially after those big time lows that we came out of back in April. Boy, I'll tell you what, this couldn't have come at a better time for people to start feeling a little bit better about the stock market, John, because of the fact that these guys have been executing, and Pure Storage is a great example of that.
Well, how about one that's not a great example, Pete? Hormel. Now, most people would say, yeah, Hormel, pork products, meats, and so forth. Of course, spam, we all get that. And I don't mean the kind that comes into my email every day. But Hormel Foods cut its forecast for annual underlying earnings after disappointing profits. That ain't good, Pete. Now, one of the things that a lot of you will be surprised to hear is, you know who makes Skippy peanut butter? Hormel. So you're kind of thinking, well, nothing goes better on spam than Hormel.
That's not my first thought, I can tell you that.
You know, let's.
Well, I will say this, John.
Skippy Hormel sandwich, please.
I will say this. So their numbers, absolutely terrible, as you were just talking about. The outlook, terrible, just like you said. The projections, you know, the earnings themselves, not even close to what they needed to do. Their net sales did grow a little bit, John. They were actually up 4.6%, but they weren't able to turn that into real cash, so to speak. So when you look at this, the stock's down significantly today. It hit new lows. I think it might be an all-time low, John. They got all the way down to 23.70. So we were just talking about how great the first couple of earnings were and how strong those were and where those stocks are. Well, this is exactly the opposite. And the problem is that outlook's got to be there. They didn't have that. And obviously the quarter itself, when you miss on both of those, you have almost no chance. You'd actually have to have something really shocking to be able to pull out. They didn't have it, and that's why Hormel's getting the crap kicked out of it today. Last I looked, it was down 15%.
Yeah, it's down over 22% year to date, Pete. I mean, this is just a disaster. The only good thing, like you say, is organic net sales were up. That was the only good thing I saw in this report.
Yep.
All right, let's now touch on the one that we said was a nothing burger, or at least I said it was a nothing burger. Pete might disagree, but Nvidia. Yeah, it's down 1.5% today, which implies kind of a nothing burger for earnings, but it's up 44% in the last 6 months, Pete. That's pretty big performance for the biggest stock in the markets because it's bigger than Apple. It is a $4 trillion monster. And they had a lot of good things in here, Pete. I'm going to let you talk about those. I didn't see anything bad. I just saw, of course, that, as we said at the top, this is a stock that trades at 40 times earnings. So that could be one of the things that people are somewhat concerned about.
Yeah, when your data center is something that people are critical of, but you're up 56% year over year, John, it makes me start to think that people are probably wanting too much. I mean, yes, is it an expensive, because of what you were talking about, the price to earnings? Yeah, it's a little bit expensive. But look at the growth. I mean, there are times where you look at the growth and you've got to kind of correlate this thing up. And I think the original move that was, down early, but then made that run up this morning and we got all the way up almost to 185. I'll tell you what, I still kind of lean towards the bullish side of this one, John. Everywhere I look, I'm like, well, they beat pretty big here. Yeah, they beat here. The guidance was pretty strong here. And how about this? And it's not getting talked about for some weird reason, John. They're also talking about the buybacks. So you've hit on just about every single thing that you'd want to hit for this stock. Now, I do get it. Has it jumped up like you were just saying? Yeah, it's up 30% for the quarter. It's up 44% in the last 6 months. I mean, it has been an absolute tear to the upside, hit new all-time highs today. But I don't think this thing is done. I think when we look at this one, this is a company, and when you listen to the CEO and talking about it and with the smile on his face and talking about the growth of AI, I don't think we're near the end of that, John. I think there's still a heck of a lot of growth there. And they proved it this past quarter. They proved it year over year. And I think they're going to continue to prove it as we go forward. So I remain very bullish on this name for sure.
Well, I think you've got plenty of good reasons to remain bullish, Pete. Although the levels that it hit today, I must say that I am no longer long the name. Obviously I was looking for a little bit more of a pop to the upside given what we thought the numbers were. But then reality set in and I said, you know what? It's probably in that 180 to 185 zone, probably a decent area to lighten up a little, even though I bet by year end, Pete, it's significantly higher again. I don't know if it achieves 200 this year, but I think it's going up.
Somebody thinks it will, John. Somebody thinks it will because we had some unusual options that went all the way out to December, and it's a huge spread, and I'm not going to get into it now, but somebody thinks this thing has a lot of room by the time we get to the end of the year for sure.
I would agree with them and you. Yeah. All right. Well, let's take a little listen to a little tutorial on how great Tiger Woods is and was. So this particular guy is going to tell us how long Tiger was at #1 in the world and whether Scotty Scheffler is going to basically take that title away from him, Pete.
Scotty has spent 150 weeks as the #1 golfer in the world.
150 weeks.
For Scotty to tie, not break, to tie Tiger Woods' record of 683 weeks as the world's #1 golfer, he would have to hold the #1 position from the moment we're taping this in August of 2025 until October of 2035. Okay? We're talking over a decade where he can't take a week off. There can't be a single week, not one week where he falls below world #1 for him to have a chance to get to where Tiger Woods has been as the #1 golfer in the world. Again, this fun little thing called data and statistics.
Unreal. That's unbelievable,
the data
John.
does matter, Pete.
I'll tell you what, if you want to know who the GOAT of all GOATs of their particular spot is, I think he's the GOAT of the GOATs. When you hear those kind of numbers, I love Michael Jordan. He's the GOAT in the NBA. There ain't no doubt about that. None in my mind. I don't even know who's close. But, maybe the Mamba is not that far away. Well, I'll say that. But those numbers for Tiger, I mean, can you imagine, John? I mean, Scheffler is damn good. He's fun to watch. He's got his, he's got his stuff together. He feels like a guy who could make a great run, and he has. But he's got to do it for another 10 years. I mean, I don't know. That's all I got to say about that one. Should we jump into a little football, John?
Let's do it.
College football, we're now at week 1. We were at week 0 last week, which is still strange to me that we call it that. But anyway, it was especially with as many games that we had. And we had even a lot of folks who are ranked in the top 25 were playing games last week, some against each other. All right. What coach, what school has the most pressure on them this year and going into this year, despite the fact that they're unbelievable and they put just an amazing number of players into the NFL every single year? And we can probably call them wide receiver U. But I'm going to say it's LSU. And here's why. The head coach, Brian Kelly, has been there now, John, for a few years. He's yet to make a playoff. Now, so just think about that. He's yet to even make the playoff. He's got a great quarterback this year in Newsmeyer. A lot of people talk about this guy being maybe the Heisman Trophy winner, maybe first pick in the draft and all that kind of thing. Now, these guys got a schedule. And by the way, they get to start their season at Clemson. That's probably not a lot of fun for them. But the pressure is on him because he's got a record of 29-11. That's pretty damn good. But, for LSU, when they had Coach O, he got a national title. When they had Coach Saban, he got a national title. When they had Les Miles, they got a national title. They haven't quite sniffed a national title, John. And so I think that's one reason, because everybody's got what they've got to get to, right? When they're coaching and where they are and what school they are and who they represent and everything else. They got to go Clemson. Then not long after, this is not in order, but I just want to give you what it looks like. At Clemson, home against Florida, at Ole Miss, who's always pretty damn good, South Carolina and Texas A&M, they get at home. They've got a tough schedule. I mean, they didn't get to skip anybody, John. Some of the biggest of the big are going to be playing against them, including Alabama. So I look at this and I think, can these guys get to the college football playoff? I don't know. You take a look at what the SEC has right now. There are some great teams already, and they're going to have to take down some of these champions along the way, right? Whether it's a Georgia or an Alabama or whoever. I mean, they are absolutely loaded. And if they're going to try to get into that playoff, which of course they are going to try to get in the playoff, can Brian Kelly do it? And if he doesn't, is it possible that they could fire this guy, John, despite the fact that he's got all these, accolades and the record so far, 29-11, not so bad. So what do you think? What does it come down to for him? If he misses the playoff, does he get fired?
I don't think so. But, alumni cause coaches to do stupid things, cause general managers or, the athletic director in this case to do stupid things like fire a guy that you're going to have to pay for years to come.
Right.
So I would not say that he's in the hot seat. One guy that is, Pete, you mentioned him already, the coach of Clemson, because people are going to start questioning if he doesn't go to the playoffs this year, they're going to question whether or not the game is passing him by, whether or not his reluctance to use the portal at all is going to keep Clemson in the hunt, but not able to make it over the hump. So I'm going to say he has, Debo has, I think he has more pressure on him even than Kelly, Pete.
Yeah, well, I think it's probably almost a dead heat when it comes to that, because they want you to deliver. A lot of alumni, like you said, at Clemson were like, hey, man, why aren't we doing what everybody else is doing? And he says, look, I want to coach these guys. I want to be the guy who coaches these guys all the way through to get them to where they need to be. And those are the players we want. It's going to be a big game. It's going to be a huge game. I think that one should be pretty daggone interesting. And I love Dabo Swinney. I think the world of that guy and what he's been able to do and how he's approached it, because, he's a man of faith and a man of his own principles on how things are supposed to work. So we'll see how that plays out. Sticking with football for one more segment here. I'll tell you what, Jerry Jones, this Netflix documentary, John, is absolutely extraordinary. And I don't think if you didn't pay really close attention, when Jerry Jones took over the Dallas Cowboys, he had to put everything. He literally took the chips and went all in and basically took all his money and everything else. And it did not start out great. It didn't start great at all. Matter of fact, they were pretty terrible. And it took a little while. And you want to talk about a guy with guts who decided to make it this decision to do this with his kids and had everybody, give him their insight on what they felt that he should or shouldn't do. And they did it. I'll tell you what, when you start watching that, it's tough to turn it off. It's like Last Dance. It's like it just keeps, you got to watch the next episode. I got to see what they're doing and all this. Unbelievable. I highly recommend that. And I had one last thing, Shohei Ohtani. Now, you and I talk about him all the time, John. He's back pitching, and he has been for a little while, but he got his first win last night of 2025. And they're keeping him on a pace, 90 pitches or 5 innings or whatever it is. But again, this guy is so worth watching and so worth going out. And if he's anywhere near where people live, I still say, you know what, if you're a Twins fan and you live out in Bloomington, Minnesota, you ought to go down and watch this guy play. If you're in, wherever you might be, if they're close to where you are, this guy's pretty special. We talk about, what Babe Ruth did and what this guy did and that guy did and all these two-way guys that we're seeing in sports more and more. I'll tell you what, Shohei Ohtani is unbelievable at both ends. And the speed of his pitches, John, the guy still has it. And they did the right thing by holding him back for a long time. But the fact that he's hitting home runs, he's stealing bases, and now he's getting back into the pitching world, I think that's a pretty amazing thing that he's doing right now in Major League Baseball.
It is. And they should highlight it even more than they do, Pete.
Yeah.
He and Aaron Judge are generational talent.
Mm-hmm.
And you just don't see guys like that born every day. And yet they just do it day in and day out. It's exciting. It's fun. And like you said, it's worth the cost of admission to see them live and see how big both those guys are, because Ohtani, Pete, is over 6'4".
Yeah.
And Judge is, probably pro measured 6'7", but he might be 6'8". I mean, the guy is a monster. And both of them proportioned like a person that's 6'1" or 6'2" and 210 pounds. And instead, they're much bigger than that.
They are. They're impressive, man.
Well, remember, folks, if you would like to join us tonight at 4 p.m. Eastern Time for smart money trades with the market at all-time highs, well, by all means, because some of you are thinking to yourself, you know what? I don't really feel like getting into the market at all-time highs. We can show you how you can do it and do it sanely, how you can do it and not feel like, oh man, if the market turns here, I'm going to feel like an idiot. We can't keep you from losing money if indeed the market were to take a nasty turn to the downside and you didn't have any puts, but we can cause the amount of money you're risking to be significantly smaller, and yet the percentage returns much bigger. So if those two things sound good to you, risking less and making a much bigger percentage return, well, dial yourself in for the smart money trades with the market at all-time highs. All you got to do is scan that QR code. Just grab your phone like this and just scan that QR code right now. And you could be joining us at 4 p.m. tonight. And as I said earlier, you'll get emailed to you not only access live at 4 p.m., but you'll also get the recorded complete show sent to your email just after we finish. So it's definitely worthwhile. I hope you do it. And I will be there tonight. I know Pete will be watching, but we really appreciate you also watching the Rebels Edge. So thank you. Have a great day. And remember, no Rebels Edge tomorrow.
No soup for you.
All right.
All right, guys. Hey, let's see. What was I going to ask you, John?